What's up, guys? Welcome to Double Chen News. It's Dan.
It's Yi.
And Miami has now overtaken New York for the #1 rudest city in America.
That's really strange because I never thought any city would overtake New York as the rudest city.
Well, I was looking through this list. So every year, Travel and Leisure, they've probably been doing it since like 2010. It goes as far as back as that. Maybe goes back even farther. But this list is pretty popular because it's not just the rudest list. It's a list of all the good things in the cities, all the bad things, and of course, one of the elements is how rude or mean the city can be. And every single year, the top 5 or the top 6 is all the same cities. But New York was usually #1 or 2. Like one year it was Los Angeles. Usually it's New York. So why this is kind of a big deal is New Yorkers are like, what? And people are like, really?
Well, it's still on the top of the list. It's #3 this year. And you know, it's down the ranks now.
I lived there for almost 10 years. You lived there for like 5 or 6, and Mike's lived there for 12, if not more. And what I want to say is basically New Yorkers, first of all, you can't really even define what a New Yorker is right now. In your mind, like there's native New Yorkers.
Born and raised.
Or
have generations of family living there.
Right. You got us, which we're considered transplants.
I think the majority of people are transplants.
A lot of people
And then
are.
You got some born and raised native New Yorkers, yeah.
Yeah, then you got new immigrants. Then you got people who, like the Bridge and Tunnel crowd, people that come from northern, eastern, and western areas of New York and New Jersey, and they come to work only, but that's a lot of people. So you can't even like define what a New Yorker is, and if you try to, the rudeness will come out. They'll be like, no, I'm a New Yorker. No, man, I was born and raised here. And I'll be like, well, I've been living here for 10 years. Well, I lived in Manhattan. Like, whatever. And I do want to defend New Yorkers a little bit because I feel like they're good people inherently. Like, we're all good people. But here's the thing, people. This is why all these cities generally are considered rude because, for example, you got 8 million people in New York, okay? In New York and all the boroughs. Even if you take a nice person, throughout the day, they run into so much pressure from people around them, from the city. You know, it smells really. I'm not gonna go through the list of all these things that make you unhappy in New York. But imagine that person's unhappy. You're happy walking by. You don't know at that moment that could be like the worst day in that person's life. Okay.
That's true.
And it can cause them to snap at you, which people do all the time. It can cause them to say rude things. It could cause them to do whatever, and multiply that by that many millions of people. So that's how, to me, that's why New York comes off like that. You know, LA people are more, LA and Miami on the list. I feel like they're saying that is because people are superficial.
But I don't know if that accounts to being rude though. And I feel like in New York, the reason that people are rude is because it's kind of like the make it or break it kind of situation. Yep. Because, okay, I'm gonna use a really simple example. If you try to catch the subway, elsewhere it's not that crowded, so you can wait patiently and get on the train and nothing will happen. But in New York, it's almost like you kind of got to push around a little bit, especially during rush hour, because if you don't push around, you're not going to make that train.
Right.
And if you don't make that train, you're going to get fired. So all of those things, like think about that amount of pressure, and I feel like that's really where the rudeness comes out of. And I know that you wanted to say something about like how rudeness doesn't really equate to meanness.
Right. It's okay. Like, I think it's kind of two different things a little bit, like being rude, being mean. I feel like being rude is like inconsiderate. Right? And I feel like being mean is actually like
malicious.
You're mean. You're malicious.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think there's that's why the list is not
meanest.
It's
rude because everyone has different circumstances, you know? I'm sure that in Miami, I don't know. I've never been to Miami actually. So I actually can't imagine because I thought it was a beach town. So I'm like, how rude can people be there, you know?
I thought it'd be chill.
Yeah, but hey, you know, like maybe when there's a lot of people, a lot of tourists, and keep in mind that this survey was taken amongst 50,000 travelers. So I don't think that they're polled amongst native people who live in the city. So it's all about people who visit. So of course, if people aren't immediately nice on the surface, that's how they're going to come off. They're going to come off as rude. So I'm sure that in areas with lots of people, lots of tourists, people are probably going to be like, oh man, like it's so hard to get to the streets. This place is so crowded. And like people who are serving you, they have to take care of so many people. So they're obviously like, what do you want?
When I think about Miami, like I was watching some people's blogs after I read this because I'm like, why is Miami rude? So they're pretty much saying like bad drivers, bad drivers, worst drivers in the United States, New York and Boston. Okay, Boston because I'm from Boston, okay? So she's saying that. So I'm like, okay, Katya, I can see why. And then she's like, it's the superficiality of it. And I'm like, you know what? You ain't got nothing on the rudeness of New York. Like, we're just talking about rudeness of New York City.
It's a big city, so that's why on the list you see it's mostly mostly very big cities, because in big cities you run into all sorts of different people.
Right.
And when you stay in a big city for a long time and you run into all these situations, you inevitably become a little bit jaded.
Right.
So I think, and then that's where the rudeness comes in. And
Right.
people also say it's associated with snobbery.
Snobbery.
You're like, oh, I'm a little bit too good for you. And
Right.
of course, for a traveler coming into town, they just want to get a coffee, and they go to a coffee shop. They're like, oh, hey, can I get this? And then the barista is like, I don't know.
Yeah, snob. All these cities, so all these cities right on the list. LA, okay, snobby. I could see that. LA snobby. Mm-hmm. The driving. I mean, we've driven in LA. I don't feel like people are as rude as they are in New York.
You mean
driving.
Less road ragey.
Less road ragey, but
Yeah.
you could definitely see like very superficial. Like people like, what is she wearing or whatever. So I don't know. Miami is like that. New York, Philadelphia, Philadelphia and Boston are on the list, not because people are snobbish, but they take their sports very seriously. And it's just usually related to the sports thing where like if you show that you're not a fan of the Eagles, let's say, or the 76ers, they're gonna say something to you. So just on that part, it can make, because most of the people care about sports. It's not like New York where a lot of people don't care about sports.
And they care very strongly about it. And if that's the case, then of course, maybe you'll rub some other people in the wrong way.
Right. If you go to that city, chances are we've been to smaller town type of cities where, like, say Ohio, like everyone talks about LeBron James or whatever. Like that's just the culture of the city. So one city on here that I'm very surprised, Phoenix, Arizona, came in at number 2. I'm like, I can't think of, because we've been to Sedona, Arizona.
And people are extremely nice. And I don't really understand, because I guess I've never really stayed in Phoenix, but when I went to Flagstaff and Sedona, people were super nice. But of course, like Sedona's really beautiful, and it's kind of like
really chill.
It's loosely populated, mostly as a resort area. So I would imagine that people would be nice. What's there to be mean about? I guess Phoenix is a larger city, so again, the big city thing, people tend to be rude.
So New Yorkers are so rude that after this list came out and they got dethroned, they were like, let's get our rudeness back. Like,
what? That's so funny. Where did that happen?
There was a headline. It's like New Yorkers want to reclaim their rudeness or whatever. So anyways, I don't want to bash on New York too much. Like people, I think in general, like we're good people, but I can totally see like when you're having a bad day, and you see this all the time. It happened to you before. You're a nice person. Mike's a nice person. I'm a nice person. But sometimes if somebody cuts you in line and you're having a really bad day, you might be mean about it, right? You might be rude about it.
I'm actually from California, and I can tell you that
you're from here.
Other than Los Angeles, even in Los Angeles, I didn't find people to be really mean.
No,
I'll tell you that where we live right now in the South Bay, people are really nice.
Yeah.
And so when I first moved to New York, I was really kind of taken aback just by how straightforward people are.
Right.
People from other places might take this straightforwardness to be kind of rude, and it could be because somebody would be like, "Why are you doing that? Like, don't do that."
Right.
And then you'd be like, "Whoa, that's a really rude way of telling me. Like, why can't you just be a little nicer?"
Right.
But people are thinking, "I got no time for that. I gotta go to my job. Like, you need to stop wasting my time."
I mean, perfect example. Like, let's say let's say you when you're first in New York, what do? You ride the subway, right? You go buy a subway card. Let's say, gosh forbid, you can't figure the machine out. Oh my gosh. And here's sort of both sides of it, right? Like people want to help you. They'd be like, but the way they do it, they're like, instead of being like, excuse me, miss, do you need help with that? They're like, yo, push that button. No, I got this for you. Because they want to get to work, but they also want to help you.
That's true. And here's where the rudeness and the meanness come along. When I was in New York, I never felt like people were genuinely mean.
Right.
And if you read anything about like New York, it'll be like, the people are kind of gritty. They're like, you know, they're really like gruff, but like at the end of the day, they're there to help you, and they're not bad people at all. And so, but when you're a traveler, you don't really care about those things. You're just in town to have fun, and so then you don't really get to know the actual place, So of course, when you're just visiting for a couple of weeks, it comes off as really rude. It comes off,
as
rude.
And on the other side, like I've been to say France, where I got family in France. I love going to France. I'm not knocking France. Not knocking it, love it, the culture. I've been there several times. You've been there. We're going again at some point. Love my family that's there. but y'all are rude over there. Rude, like I can't speak French, okay? And I've never been made feeling like less than when I try to pronounce. Here, you know what I mean? Like, it happens in America sometimes. Like, idiots will make fun of you for your accent, but generally, people, especially in New York, they'll be helpful. They'll be like, "Oh, where are you trying to get to?" You know. In France, like, I cannot pronounce French, and people are just looking at me like, that to me is rude.
They look at you like, why? How can you not know this? You know? I mean, but here's the thing: the rude Parisian waitress and waiter is like a stereotype.
It's a thing.
Obviously, people could be like, that's not true, but I've personally encountered it several times when I was in Paris, and I've been trying to order, and they're just so impatient. They're like, come on. And I was like, yo, what is this? I mean, there's multiple factors that make one area less rude than the other.
Like, when I lived in New York for all that time, I can say that after I left New York, I can talk bad about New York. You know why? Because I was so nice to New York. Despite people treating me horribly, I never once lashed out. I never once cursed at somebody in all of my years, and I've always been helpful. So my point is, I always live my life like this. Like, you know when you're having like a really bad day, right? And you're basically on the edge. You're like teetering on the edge of like a mental breakdown, or you want to like hurt somebody or whatever. And the next interaction can make or break it. What I mean is, for example, you're having the worst day of your life, which happens all the time in New York City. And the next person, if they're mean to you, you lose it. But if that person is somewhat helpful, literally that could like make your day. So I always live my life like, I want to be the guy that, because everyone else around me seems so miserable, why can't I be that guy to give you a smile, to help you open a door, to help you assist you with something at the store, not cut you off, you know, in when I'm driving, all those things.
And you know what? You know, you're actually you really like that in real life.
Thank you.
This is not fake. Yeah.
It's not fake. I don't do it to praise myself, but and you know what?
Horn.
And now I'm tooting my horn. Now that I've done that in New York, and we've done that for 10 years, I can now, it's almost like the ex-girlfriend where you're like, you know what? I treated you really good, so now, you know what? I could say things. I could say whatever. You know, New York, like, I could say good and bad, because New York, I was good to you, so.
Well, I have to admit, I wasn't exactly the nicest. Well, it's like, I try to be nice, but sometimes you really have those days where you're just like, you're gonna be rude to me? Well, I'm gonna be rude to you. But okay. Do not do what I did, because that basically is what breeds the rudeness.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
I don't think it's good to be rude. Like, at the end of the day, it's all about individuals. You know, they're gonna be rude cities, but they're gonna be nice people, and they're gonna be rude people. And even the nicest people are gonna have their rude days.
Yep.
You know, and I'm generally pretty nice, but yo, when I was living in New York, I had some days where I was like, you know, but anywhoozy.
Anyways, guys, let us know what you think the rudest city in America is, and let us know what you think the nicest city in America is. Thanks again for watching, guys. See you later.
Bye.